Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me over?
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower, Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field up with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Hey, what's going on, everybody? How are you? It's your boy Pacho. Right here, it's another week that's gone down, and yeah, you know, we got a pretty. It's a little bit different, the show that I like to do today. It's a little bit different, but as I always like to say, hey, it's Baby Friday, Friday Night's Eve, and well, you know, goddamn, it's almost the weekend, you know. So let's get all the pleasantries out of the way before we kick this show off. You know, yeah, let me just get all this stuff out of the way, and then we could talk about some things. But you know, this being 9/11, the week of 9/11, and all the other things, I thought it would be important. So, hey, if you haven't gotten a chance to get your show, I mean, not your show, your VA claim in the system, now is the time to do it. What do I mean by that? Well, it's because simply the PAC Act is, you know, there's a lot of discretions, I guess you can say, for lack of better words, that, you know, you don't have to prove certain things going on in because there's under presumptive conditions. So, you know, because of that, you don't have to go get a medical exam, or the VA just basically automatically is going to take kind of like your word for it. There's another thing that I just received via email. If you're not subscribed to the VA emails, make sure that that you do go on their website and get their newsletter, because there's something coming down the pipeline because of the airborne pits and some of the other things are getting ready to be passed. Certain respiratory things going on in the with, you know, if you have anything respiratory going on and you meet the timeline in the time frame or the area, then, you know, there's some other benefits coming down the pipeline as well, in regards to that you be compensated for. So please make sure that you check it out, because at the end of the day, I mean, you know, you are going to get older, and you are going to and you know, you're going to have issues later on in life that you want the VA to take care of it, and nothing comes out of your pocket, because as somebody who's had his, you know, not only battles with, you know, many other things, you know, I've had already things kind of go wayside with my joints and among other things, and obviously thank God that it's been able to be taken care of at no cost to me from the VA. So by all means, you know, make sure you do that due diligence, and go ahead and get checked out by the VA. Submit a claim. If you need help, shoot me a link, shoot me a message. I'll be more than glad to help you out. Okay. And if you don't follow me in all the other social media channels like LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, you know, go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow, please. Let's help grow. Like I said, let's help grow this into something amazing, where it's a network of information. And also, if you want to be on the show, you want to promote something, your business or your nonprofit, or just tell your story, I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to bring you on the show. And not only this, but as you know, we're as service members, we protected and defended the American Constitution. So whether we agree or disagree politically, in content or whatever, you know, we support the freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, and all the other great freedoms that we as Americans get or afforded through the, you know, that great document that allows us all these freedoms to us as Americans. So, and if you like this show or you want to hear something else, check out something on Sitchradio through Brian Colburn. And if you need an amazing coach, a life coach, or you're trying to brand yourself and whatever else, I highly recommend that you check out Brian Colburn and his he's on TikTok, Instagram. I highly recommend that you follow this guy because the information that he shares, it's I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. So that's why I kind of like to pump him up a little bit. So I think that those are all the pleasantries out of the way, everybody. So let's talk about today. I mean, I wanted to all the other times kind of when 9/11, the last couple of days. Well, it doesn't really matter. I've been looking forward to doing a show because at the end of the day, I think we as Americans, we kind of tend to forget a lot of things that happened in the past, and it isn't under some great culminating point that or an event that happens that kind of triggers us to remember certain things and remember back in time or whatever the case. So I think it's important for us, not never like the hashtag says, never forget, Patriots Day, all those things, because a lot of people died on that day. And I'll tell you here, and I wanted to my great buddy Mad Max Scott Gilman, who is a supporter of the show. I mean, his post was amazing, so I want to read it out to you. And again, big shout out to Scott for posting this because it was the reason why I wanted to make this show. So, but this is crazy. I mean, thinking back where I was at in Camp Pendleton, I don't think I was working that day for whatever reason, but at 7:59 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 takes off from Boston with 11 crew members, 76 passengers, and 5 hijackers aboard. It was originally destined for Los Angeles. At 8:15 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 takes off from Boston with 9 crew members, 51 passengers, and 5 hijackers. It was originally destined for Los Angeles. So these are 2 different flights, Flight 11, Flight 175. At 8:19 a.m., Betty Ann Ong, a flight attendant aboard Flight 11, alerts ground personnel that the cockpit is unreachable. A passenger has been stabbed and the plane is being hijacked. The passenger, identified as Daniel M. Lewin, served for 4 years in the Israeli army, and the report speculated that he may have tried to stop the hijackers. He's likely the first person killed during the attacks. At 8:20 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 takes off from Washington Dulles International Airport with 6 crew members, 53 passengers, and 5 hijackers on board. It was originally destined for Los Angeles. At 8:42 a.m., United Flight 93 takes off from Newark International. Let me go back. At 8:24 a.m., Flight 11 hijacker Mohammed Atta accidentally broadcast a message to air traffic control saying, "We have some planes, just stay quiet and you will be okay." At 8:37 a.m., Boston's Air Traffic Control Center alerts the U.S. Air Force Northeast Air Defense Sector, which mobilizes the Air National Guard to follow Flight 11. At 8:42 a.m., United Flight 93 takes off from Newark International Airport with 7 crew members, 33 passengers, and 4 hijackers on board, and it was originally bound for San Francisco. At 8:46 a.m., Flight 11 crashes into floors 93 through 99 of the World Trade Center, known as the North Tower, severing all 3 emergency stairwells. First responders are dispatched to the scene and an evacuation begins. At 8:50 a.m., President George W. Bush is told what's believed to be a small plane hit the World Trade Center. At the time, Bush was visiting an elementary school in Sarasota, Florida, and was told it was likely an accident. At 8:52 a.m., a flight attendant aboard Flight 175 reports to an airline operator that a hijacking is underway. At 8:55 a.m., a Port Authority fire safety employee tells people in 2 World Trade Center that the South Tower that is secure and there is no need to evacuate. Those in the process of evacuating are told to use re-entry doors and elevators to return to their office. At 8:59 a.m., Port Authority Police Department Sergeant Al Devorna orders both towers to be evacuated, followed a minute later by an evacuation order for the entire complex. At 9:02 a.m., a Port Authority safety employee announces people may start an orderly evacuation of the South Tower if conditions warrant on your floor. At 9:03 a.m., Flight 175 crashes into floor 77 through 85 of the South Tower. Two of the three emergency stairwells are rendered impassable. At 9:05 a.m., White House Chief of Staff Andrew Card informs Bush that the South Tower was hit and this was not, this was not an accident. A second plane hit the second tower. America's under attack. Card told MSNBC were the words he said to the president. 9:12 a.m., Renee A. May, a flight attendant aboard Flight 77, calls her mother and says, the plane has been hijacked. Her mother then calls American Airlines. Minutes after their call, passenger Barbara Olson calls her husband, Solicitor General Theodore Olson, and tells him hijackers took over the plane. He informs federal officials. At 9:37 a.m., Flight 77 crashes into the Pentagon. At 9:42 a.m., the Federal Aviation Administration grounds all flights. At 9:58 a.m., Flight 93 is flying low enough to the ground that Edward P. Felt, a passenger, is able to reach an emergency operator in Pennsylvania. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapses. At 10:03, passengers and crew members storm the cockpit of Flight 93. It crashes into Shanksville, Pennsylvania, about 20 minutes flying time from Washington, D.C. At 10:28 a.m., the North Tower collapses. At 12:16 p.m., U.S. airspace closes. And at 8:30 p.m., President Bush addresses the nation from the White House. Oh, fuck. Sorry. We're in the West Coast. I was in Camp Pendleton. We were stationed in Duluth housing at the time, old Duluth housing. And I don't remember specifically the time, but my neighbor, Marita Thayer, she was married to my buddy, Ollie Thayer. He was a staff sergeant. I was a sergeant. We live right next to each other. She comes running to our house and she's banging on that door. She says, "Hey, we're under attack. Somebody's attacking the World Trade Center." I rushed to the TV and the first plane had already hit. I stood there frozen. Just, I was in awe of what was going on at the time. And I called my kid. I called my kid's mom, and I forgot where she was at. But anyways, we just stood there frozen, just watching this. And again, the mind kind of plays a little bit of a trickery on you when, especially this is a long time ago, and it kind of tries to fill in the patches of what happened. But obviously, because your mind tries to compensate in areas where filling the gaps of memories and such. But I did remember, and then I saw the second airplane hit. We saw the second airplane hit the tower, and then we were just watching this from wherever the cameras were at on the other side of New York, and we see just the smoke, and we could hear the sirens and all this other stuff. And obviously after that, then later, after when the towers collapsed, and then obviously what we see on TV and things like that, I clearly remember we then got a phone call shortly after, and at the time we were I was in I was stationed with 4th LAR Battalion, and we uh, we were basically called back in. So I mean, I think I remember that, but I remember I hadn't shaved, so I had to really scrape my face really quickly and be able to go back. I had to drive back to my unit because basically things were being enforced. I mean, from that moment, I don't know what happened, but there were we were permanent personnel at a reserve unit. My little girl hadn't even been I don't think she's even started walking yet. Oh, fuck. And we started recalling reservists because in preparation of what was getting ready to happen, and and getting all this stuff. So it wasn't a matter of if we were going to go. I mean, I kind of had an idea that that someone was going. I had already been in almost 10 years, and actually over 10 years in the Marine Corps now, and so it was just crazy. And the fucked up thing is that these individuals just took some one, as I mentioned on the show description, that one event can just create such a fucking ripple in life. I mean, it completely changed how air travel was happening. And yeah, there were other incidents in the past, but nothing was en masse like this. And but it also changed the lives of so many people, so many friends I have. Fuck. So many friends I have lost, so many friends, who committed suicide, just having to deploy and going to so many different fucking places. And service members getting sent to other places, just so many things that this one event just changed. This week has just been kind of rough, just kind of having to think about that. And obviously, and coupled with suicide prevention, being Monday being Suicide Prevention Day, or World Mental Suicide Awareness, it's fucking tough, man. It's fucking tough. I just think back at all the people that we've lost, the lives that were that were lost on that day. I remember the scenes of just people fucking jumping off the World Trade Center. And just so many things, man, that makes it just I'm kind of at a loss for words nowadays. I thought that I had this whole fucking show in my head that I was going to talk about, but it's rough. It just makes me think of my buddies who when we deployed, and we stood up this entire unit. We took all these kids that unfortunately that years later on that were still impacted. I mean, I still have a friend of mine who I stayed in touch with. I just got off a Zoom call with a buddy of mine. Hopefully he's watching, Scotty LaPointe. We deployed over there together, but I mean, and then several kids that one of them got into an accident. That we lost one when we were over there due to a vehicle rolling over, helping some of these people build the school. Douglas Marenko, I mean, amazing kid, left a family behind. Years later, one of the kids that was over there ended up committing suicide. He threw himself in front of a vehicle on the highway in California. I mean, just a lot of fucking things like that. I'm glad I'm here, don't get me wrong. But it just, sometimes just living with the living with their faces, living with their memories, and just makes you think. That's all. But at the end of the day, I have to. I feel like I have to do right by them and be able to fucking, move on and just carry their memories with me and be able to, talk about them and share their memories and live for them. It's not going to bring them back whatsoever. But even me, who has struggled with depression, mental health, and my own share of fucking demons here. And yes, I too almost committed suicide as well. When I was on active duty, and thank God that Scott intervened. So mad props to Scott for I guess being my little guardian angel, so to speak. We have to we got to carry their memory and live for them. So the whole point of today was just never forget them. Not only never forget that event, never forget all those families, all those peoples. Remember their names, which I almost I was almost tempted. There was somebody posted everybody's names on there, but I mean obviously it would have taken a little bit too long. But I think every year it's important, not only every year but every day. And our country is not perfect by no fucking means. No country. I don't think if you show me a country that is perfect, I will. I guess I owe you a chief warrant officer retirement pay, but but America's not perfect, but it is the best country, and I'm proud to have served. I'm proud to be a naturalized citizen of this great, amazing country of ours. I'm proud to have been in and although we were one team, same fight, I'm proud to have earned the title of being a United States Marine and have been able to lead Marines into combat and be able to, and be able to bring those that came back with me. So, but if you see a veteran where they serve in whatever era, make sure you thank them, because we wrote a fucking blank check in the event that some shit may happen. And those are, and don't get me wrong, I gave that blank check, and I guess you could say I somewhat got it back. But there's those few of us, or those few of them that that cashed out that check, and they wrote that, and they served, and they paid this country in blood. So we should thank them and thank them for their service, and thank a service member too. Not just on the in November here on Veterans Day or whatever the shit, but and not remember just on Memorial Day. And we also, in addition to that, remember those first responders too. That even to this day, there's some that are having dealing with issues from being exposed to the atmosphere that happened in New York. So I just wanted to obviously talk about this today and remember them and honor them. And remind you as well as the listener that to be able to please, let's never forget this event, because it completely changed our lives. I know it changed mine, and it even impacted my kids as well. So, if you've been struggling, before I go, if you've been struggling and this week has been particularly rough on you, I get it. I totally friggin' understand. Nobody else, no, I guess from me, I'm here to tell you that I got it. I got you. So hit me up at the show if you want to talk about it. DM me. I'll be more than glad to give you my number. We can have a friggin' conversation. And if you need me to, send you or direct you to some resources, I'll be more than glad to do so, because at the end of the day, nobody here can, if you take your life, nobody else can bring you back. And those of us who stay behind, we're the ones who, stay behind asking ourselves the questions why. So, yeah, reach out. And if you haven't heard from a friend of yours for a while, make sure that, do a buddy check, okay? But this time, fucking mean it. and tell them, hey, I'm just doing a buddy check, and tell them pass it forward. All right. So with that being said, folks, I'm going to sign off. Aismas, daisuki. I'll talk to you next week. Hoorah. Get some. Bye.